friends. Hello, hello, hello. I'm so glad to see you today and to talk about this topic of guilt. I've been seeing it so much with my clients, and I wanted to get in here and clarify with all of you what happens when we fall into guilt and what does it do to us and how does it challenge us and how do we get ourselves to shift back out of guilt into something that's going to be much more connected and full of a space that actually where you want to be. So let's start and just talk about how guilt shows up for so many. And what I see, especially with my high achieving women, is that guilt shows up when what? You're prioritizing yourself. This is when it absolutely comes up the most. One of my clients this week was telling me, like for her, like when she prioritizes herself, whether it's taking a vacation, because that's been one of the things we're looking at is like taking more time to take vacation. It comes up there because she feels guilty for leaving her parents who need some care. Or it could be guilt that shows up because you're just actually taking time for yourself away from your team at work. It can be guilt for taking any time for yourself at all. And it's not about prioritizing everybody else in the world. So when guilt shows up, it stops us. Have you noticed this? And if you're feeling a little guilty in your life, please pop it in the chat and let me know what's causing it. Like, what do you know what it is that you feel guilty about? And it typically, again, is about prioritizing yourself. But if there's something else that's happening, I want to hear it. I'm always opening to hearing what it is, because that guilt is, again, going to interrupt you and stop you from doing what's the most important thing in your life. And so when we are experiencing that level of guilt, what's the next step? What's that next choice? And this is the most important thing, is to start to understand we are feeling guilt, noticing that heaviness in your body. I know for myself, guilt feels like just, right down into my chest and into my stomach. I feel guilty about some choice that I made, or I feel guilty for making a mistake. It can come in that way as well. So what do you do at that moment when you feel guilty? And how do you then make a new choice? And that's really the key, because when we're in guilt, we feel very reactive. We feel in reaction. You are in reaction. And so when you're feeling that level of guilt weighing you down, and sometimes we can feel guilt for feeling healthy. Sometimes you can feel guilt for choices that you're making. You can feel guilt for not calling somebody back because you just really needed some time for yourself. I'm getting here from Louise. I get guilt all the time from childhood, running around helping others. Absolutely. So a lot of us, when we stop over helping, when you stop over giving, you can actually feel guilt for that, because you're so accustomed to that habit and that way of doing things, and you're so used to giving, giving, giving. And when you stop and start to say, no, I'm going to take a pause, some space for myself, that's when the guilt can come in. So what do we do when guilt is showing up? And again, I've seen it as a theme this week with my clients. What do we do when we have guilt going on? And how do you shift out of guilt to actually being back to feeling like yourself again, letting go of that anxiety and that worry that comes along with the guilt? And this is one of the keys, is to start to clarify commitment. What are you really committed to? With so many of the women I'm coaching, we work right away on this, and self-care is a huge piece of this. And self-care is used a lot in the world, and I really want to clarify that self-care is really more about putting yourself first. So can you all see that connection then that can come in when you put yourself first, and then that can start that little bit of a cascade into the guilt space? So what we have to do is clarify our commitment of why. Why does it matter to put yourself first? Why does it matter to prioritize yourself in some way? Because honestly, that's the best way you can actually help others. It's the best way you actually can be of service to the people that you love in your life. It's how you can be the best leader in the world that you live in, right? Because if you are only over giving, you're going to be exhausted, depleted, unfulfilled, drained. And if any of those words are resonating, and you just wave your hand at me, because I know for some of you, like that is actually your existence right now. You are over giving. I see this especially with moms who've got kids going back to school and big teams in work. And you don't have to be a mom to be overgiving. So many of us overgive to parents. You're overgiving to workplace. You're overgiving to your career. Those of you who are out there entrepreneurs, maybe overgiving to the people you work with. There are so many ways that we overgive, and this is very trained into culture, especially for women. So how do we now interrupt that and go back into clarifying our own commitment? And clarifying commitment to self first. And one of the things I see with women is that they tend to go, I got to go all in. I've got to do like half an hour, an hour, all of these things all day. And really, it's always about building the habit of putting yourself first. And so clarifying the commitment to actually putting yourself first is one of the key things. Clarifying commitment, saying, okay, I'm in for putting myself first for 5 minutes. That's it. I'm here to put myself first for 5 minutes in my day. And that can be morning or that can be in the evening. What you're starting to do is to build that muscle of I take 5 minutes. And when I feel guilty, I clarify the commitment is the commitment to myself. And I'm committed to myself because it will make me a better human, a better partner, a better mom, a better teammate, a better daughter, all of those pieces. And when you can really do that every single day and practice it for 5 minutes, that's when you start to strengthen that muscle of being able to do it in a much more expansive way in your life every single day, right? Every single day. By the way, so I take 2.5 hours for lunch every day and I work for myself. So I have that freedom. And I don't feel guilty about not being available for my clients at that time, because what it means is that I am taking time for myself. I'm taking time with Coco. I'm moving my body. I'm resetting myself and I'm getting really clear. And it actually allows me to be more available. It allows me to actually have time and connection and space for myself so that when I'm working with somebody, I'm really present for them and I'm really available. So this is the most important thing for us to start to see is like, where are you going into guilt around something that you actually need to do for yourself? And so instead, clarify the commitment, get yourself back on track, do the thing that's actually going to really support you, and you will be so much more available to give in an honest, true, correct way, rather than that overgive, overplease, etc. kind of space. So if you can commit to that today, wave your hand, whatever hand you kind of want, an emoji hand in the comments. Let me know. I would love to see you all doing that today for yourself. Thank you so much. Have a really beautiful week, and I will talk to all of you soon.